In society, we must not ignore the elderly women. So they also have got gynecological challenges. So in this quiz session, we have got 10 postmenopausal gynecological ultrasound quiz questions. These are multiple choice. So I want us to attempt these together, and then I will give you the explanations. So this basically is the answer to the gynecological quiz sessions that I gave you previously. So question number 1. So you can see there's a thickened endometrium. Thickened endometrium there, there's a thickened endometrium. So the clinical scenario, a 64-year-old woman presents with postmenopausal bleeding. TVS demonstrates a uniformly thickened endometrium measuring 12 millimeters. You can see what is going on there. You can see what is going on there. So, which is the most appropriate interpretation? A. Normal postmenopausal endometrium. B. Endometrial carcinoma should be excluded. C. Physiological finding. D. Atrophic endometrium. So the answer is B, which is endometrial carcinoma should be excluded. As long as you see a thickened endometrium, you should always exclude endometrial carcinoma. So the explanation: endometrial thickness above 4 to 5 millimeters in a woman with a postmenopausal bleeding is abnormal. Differential diagnoses include endometrial hyperplasia, endometrial polyp, endometrial carcinoma. Tissue sampling is usually recommended. So this is how you are supposed to craft your report. You must always think about an endometrial carcinoma as long as the endometrium in a postmenopausal woman is thickened above 5 millimeters. So question number 2, let's discuss it. The endometrial fluid. So there we have it. A 70-year-old woman has an incidental finding of fluid within the uterine cavity. What is the most important feature to assess? What is the most important feature to assess if you see endometrial free fluid in a 72-year-old woman? A. Myometrial thickness. B. Endometrial thickness surrounding the fluid. C. Cervical length. D. The ovarian volume. Answer is you must assess the endometrial thickness surrounding the fluid. So that could be fluid that is coming from the cancerous invasion of the endometrium itself. So the explanation: a thin surrounding endometrium less than 3 mm usually suggests benign cervical stenosis. A thick irregular endometrium raises concern for malignancy. So that's the justification. That's how and that's why you are supposed to look for the thickness of the endometrium surrounding the fluid. Just be meticulous and don't ignore that. So question number 3, ovarian cyst. So you can see the nature of this ovarian cyst there. A 60-year-old woman has a 4 centimeter unilocular thin-walled ovarian cyst without solid components. What is the most likely diagnosis? A 60-year-old woman has a 4 centimeter unilocular thin-walled ovarian cyst without solid components. So this is what we have there. What is the most likely diagnosis? A. Simple benign cyst. B. Ovarian carcinoma. C. Endometrioma. D. A dermoid cyst. So our answer is a simple benign cyst. Explanation: simple cysts are common after menopause. Suspicious features include papillary projections, thick septa, solid vascular tissue, or ascites. So these simple cysts are just non-cancerous, but if you see the features where we have got like this, where we now have got papillary excrescence and solid components in the cyst, then that's where you are supposed to think outside the box and think of ovarian malignancy. Question number 4, ovarian cancer. Look at the hypervascularity that we are having there. Which ultrasound feature most suspicious for ovarian malignancy? Which ultrasound feature is most suspicious for ovarian malignancy? A. Thin wall. B. Posterior acoustic enhancement. C. Papillary projections with Doppler flow. D. Anechoic cyst. So our answer is C, which is papillary projections with Doppler flow. So if there is a solid papillary projections inside the cyst and there's Doppler flow, then you should think of ovarian malignancy. Explanation: papillary projections with internal vascularity are highly suspicious. Other suspicious findings: solid components, thick septations, ascites, and bilaterality. Those are the other features that can suggest a malignancy in an ovarian lesion. So, question number 5, pyometria. A postmenopausal woman presents with fever and purulent vaginal discharge. Ultrasound shows a distended uterus filled with echogenic fluid. Most likely diagnosis: a postmenopausal woman presents with fever and purulent vaginal discharge. Ultrasound shows a distended uterus with the echogenic fluid. Most likely diagnosis is what? A. Hematometria. B. Pyometria. C. Hydrometria. D. Generating fibroid. So our answer is B, which is pyometria. Explanation: pyometria is accumulation of pus within the uterus. So the common causes: cervical stenosis, endometrial carcinoma, and infection. So pyometria is accumulation of pus within the uterus. Common causes are cervical stenosis, endometrial carcinoma, and infection. Okay. Question number 6, atrophic endometrium. Atrophic endometrium. A woman with postmenopausal bleeding is an endometrial thickness of 2 millimeters. What is the most likely diagnosis? A woman with postmenopausal bleeding is an endometrial thickness of 2 millimeters. What is the most likely diagnosis? A. Endometrial carcinoma. B. Atrophic endometrium. C. Hyperplasia. D. Endometrial polyp. So the answer is atrophic endometrium. You can see that the thickness of the endometrium is only 2 millimeters. So this is not suggestive for malignant. We say that a malignant endometrium in postmenopausal, it should be above 5 millimeters. So explanation: endometrial atrophy is the common cause of postmenopausal bleeding. Thickness less than 4 millimeters is a very high negative predictive value for endometrial cancer. So if you see that the endometrium is thin and normal, and then there is PV bleeding, so the most likely cause is atrophic endometrium. Question number 7, cervical cancer. Look at these images there. You can see there's hyperemia there, there's hyperemia that is happening there in the cervix. Which ultrasound finding suggests for cervical cancer or carcinoma? A. Small cervix. B. Bulky irregular hypoechoic cervical mass. C. Thin endometrium. D. Nabotin cyst. So the most plausible answer is B, which is bulky irregular hypoechoic cervical mass. Bulky irregular hypoechoic cervical mass. This is the most likely a feature or sign of ovarian malignancy or cancer. The explanation: advanced cervical cancer may appear as enlarged cervix, irregular margins, increased vascularity, and parametrial invasion. So there's also parametrial invasion that can happen. So this is the sonographic feature or sign of cervical cancer. So be on the lookout for cervical cancer every time that you're doing a pelvic ultrasound scan, especially in these postmenopausal ladies who are susceptible to that. So question number 8, endometrial polyp. Look at this lesion that we have there, the lesion that we have there with a vascular pedicel or a blood supply that is feeding, a single blood supply that is feeding the lesion. So which Doppler finding is characteristic of an endometrial polyp? Which Doppler finding is characteristic of an endometrial polyp? A. Peripheral vascularity. B. Single feeding vessel. C. Vascularity, no vascularity. D. Ring of fire. So which Doppler finding is characteristic of an endometrial polyp? A. peripheral vascularity. B, single feeding vessel. C, no vascularity. D, ring of fire. So our answer is a single feeding vessel. Explanation: the pedicel artery is classic for endometrial polyp. So it's called this single vessel that is feeding the polyp there is called the pedicle artery sign. So the pedicle artery sign. So write this down, please. Take note of it. The pedicle artery sign is one of the things that we use to confirm the diagnosis of an endometrial polyp. Okay. Question number 9, hydrometria. So you see this fluid there? A postmenopausal woman is a clear fluid within the endometrial cavity and cervical stenosis. A postmenopausal woman is a clear fluid within the uterine cavity and the cervical stenosis. Like that, like that. What is the diagnosis? A, pyometria. B, hydrometria. C, hematometria. D, adenomyosis. So the key word here is clear fluid within the uterine cavity. So the answer is hydrometria. Hydrometria. Explanation: hydrometria is consistent of sterile fluid trapped due to cervical obstruction. Always evaluate the surrounding endometrium. Hydrometria consistent of sterile fluid trapped due to cervical obstruction. Always evaluate the surrounding endometrium. So we are saying that if there is obstruction of the cervix, you can have a sterile uh, fluid that collects within the endometrium. This is now what we call hydrometria. It's anechoic. There's no solid components inside, so or internal echoes. So this is what hydrometria. So the last and final question is endometrial carcinoma. So you can see what we have here. There's hyperperfusion, hyperemia on power Doppler and hyperemia on color Doppler, as you can see also, and on microvascular studies. Which ultrasound feature most strongly suggests endometrial carcinoma? Which ultrasound feature most strongly suggests endometrial carcinoma? A, smooth, thin endometrium. B, regular central stripe. C, irregular heterogeneous vascular endometrium. D, invisible endometrium. So the answer is C, which is irregular heterogeneous vascular endometrium. So an irregular heterogeneous vascular endometrium is highly suggestive of a malignant transformation. So the explanation being, typical ultrasound features include endometrial thickness above 4 to 5 millimeters with post-menopausal bleeding, heterogeneous echo texture, irregular endometrium junction, increased color Doppler vascularity, possible intracavital mass. So this is the configuration or the sonographic feature of endometrial carcinoma. So when you're doing an ultrasound, please be on the lookout for an irregular heterogeneous vascular endometrium. So that one is consistent with endometrial carcinoma. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that learning is percolating and you are gaining every day. So don't forget to subscribe, to share, give your comments, and also tell your colleagues about this educational content that we are sharing so that they can also benefit. Thank you so much. Let's meet again in the next episode of our quiz session discussion. This is a daily challenge. Remember that on a daily basis, we post the quiz session. Today, if you post the quiz questions, you attempt them, then the next day we then post the answers and the explanation. Then that's the routine. Then we just do like that. Also, remember that we do have got our daily quiz questions as well as the normal case studies that we do and also the report writing. Thank you so much.